Hello, this is Khush, your local realtor, and today we will compare prices in the sub areas of different neighborhoods in Delta, Surrey, Cloverdale, Langley, Pitt Meadows, and Maple Ridge. Here we go. And for the purpose of this video, let's compare apples to apples. So let's take a standard. Let's do a 70s built two-story house with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms upstairs, and a 2-bedroom mortgage helper downstairs on a 7,000 square foot lot with 60-foot frontage on a quiet street. The cheapest neighborhoods first. So the most affordable house that you can buy, let's say the same one we just talked about, the 7,200 square foot lot, the standard 5-bed 2 or 3 bath house would be in Bridgeview in Surrey, in North Surrey, or in Port Hammond in this Maple Ridge. So the main reason, of course, the one of the most affordable areas is that they are in floodplain. So just because of that sole reason, they would be our starting price. So 1.1 is what you can expect to pay for a typical standard house with the basement suite on a standard lot in these two neighborhoods. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Maple Ridge. In Maple Ridge, except Port Hammond neighborhood, the further west you go, the more expensive it generally gets. Of course, there's many variables. Some specific pockets could be a lot more expensive in the east side as well. But in generally, the further west you go, the more expensive it gets. The east side of Maple Ridge, near 224th, like everything around here, you can expect to pay around 1.125, so 25,000 more than Bridgeview or Port Hammond. And in the west side, you can expect to pay around 1.15, so an additional 25,000 the further west we go. Okay, moving on to our next neighborhood. That would be Brookswood. So that's the south part of Langley City. So this one exactly. So anything south of 42nd or 44th Avenue would be Brookswood. You can expect to pay around 1.175, so 25,000 more than the west side of Maple Ridge. The reason this is not more expensive is because in Brookswood, pretty much like most of the lots are pretty big. They're like anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 square feet. The standard is 10,000, 12,000. That's the standard. And those ones generally trade at anywhere from 1.25 to 1.35, and of course a lot more if the house is renovated. And of course, we're in our video, we're only talking about a standard house, not renovated. Maybe the flooring has been changed, some small updates, nothing major. So in Brookswood, that would be 1.175. And moving on, the slightly more expensive area would be Langley City. So let's say Brookswood 1.175, Langley City would be 1.2. And similar to Langley City would be Bolivar Heights. That's also around 1.2. And similar to Bolivar Heights would be Pitt Meadows. So Pitt Meadows, Bolivar Heights, Langley City. Very similar neighborhoods, price-wise, of course. Living there, of course, there's a lot of differences, a lot of cultural differences, a lot of the houses there are like very different. Of course, Bolivar Heights is probably one of the oldest ones. So Bolivar Heights is probably 1960s. Langley was mostly built in, the city was built in like the 1970s, and Pitt Meadows is like 1980s. But in today's example, we're talking about a typical, let's say the same exact house existed in all 3 neighborhoods. It would be the same price, similar price, around 1.2. Okay, and slightly more expensive neighborhoods than the other 3 would be Royal Heights and Cedar Hills and East Newton. East Newton being slightly even more expensive than Royal Heights and Cedar Hills, but these generally trend to trade at around 1.25. So Royal Heights, Cedar Hills, East Newton, around 1.25 for a typical house. Okay, and moving on to some more expensive neighborhoods. Annieville in Delta, Cloverdale in Surrey, and Walnut Grove in Langley. These 3 neighborhoods also tend to trade at a similar sort of price point, around 1.275. Yes, they're totally different cities, totally different neighborhoods, totally different people who live there. Houses, again, it's different decades when these subdivisions were made, right? But again, we're talking about the same exact house. If it was picked up from Annieville, moved to Cloverdale, moved to Walnut Grove, it should trade at the similar sort of price range, which is around 1.275. Okay, let's go to the more premium neighborhoods now. So West Newton, Queen Mary Park, Nordel, Bear Creek Park, Guildford, Sullivan Station, Scottsdale in Delta, and Fort Langley in Langley. I would say they all are premium neighborhoods, but not the top, but still premium enough to get anywhere from 1.3 to 1.35. They all trade very similarly. Of course, it depends on the exact house. Of course, no house is the same, but the price point should be very similar for the similar house in these all neighborhoods. Okay, let's move to the second most expensive neighborhoods. Those would be Fraser Heights, Fleetwood, Panorama Ridge in Surrey, and Sunshine Hills in Delta. These four neighborhoods, again, should be similar price, around 1.375 to 1.4. And moving on to the most expensive neighborhood, you probably already know, it's South Surrey. Many variables, of course, it's a big neighborhood. It could range anywhere from 1.425 to 1.5. The cheaper area would be the east side and the King George, but of course, if you go further east in Morgan Creek, that's the most expensive. So generally, anywhere from 1.425, 1.5 would be South Surrey. Thank you very much for watching. This is Khush, your local realtor, and feel free to call me anytime from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. any day if you're looking to buy or sell anywhere from North Vancouver, to Surrey, to Langley, to Chilliwack.